Only 3 Star Trek shows exist in For All Mankind's alternate history, but what are they? For All Mankind's alternate timeline only has 3 Star Trek series in 2003, but what are they? TNG and DS9 veteran Ronald D. Moore explains more. Star Trek veteran and For All Mankind co-creator Ronald D. Moore has confirmed that only 3 Trek shows exist in the Applet V Plus alternative history shows timeline. For All Mankind depicts a parallel world in which the space race never ended. Star Trek was notably a huge influence on the real-life NASA, with the Horde actress Nichelle Nichols accepting a job with the organization to help increase the diversity of their astronauts. One of those astronauts was Mae Jemison, the first African-American woman in space, who would later have a cameo in the Star Trek: The Next Generation episode Second Chances. For All Mankind character Commander Danielle Poole, KRYS Marshall, is loosely based on Mae Jemison. Like Jemison, For All Mankind's Dani is the first African-American woman in space and a big Star Trek fan. In For All Mankind Season 4, Episode 9, which is set in the year 2003, Dani sends a video message back to her stepson Isaiah to congratulate him on the pending birth of his daughter. Dani warns Isaiah that she's going to turn her granddaughter into a full-blown Trekkie. That's right, we're gonna watch all the series, all 3 of them. When asked about his alternative Star Trek production timeline by Inverse in 2021, Ronald D. Moore had the following response. Does Star Trek: The Next Generation exist in For All Mankind? By reinstating Star Trek Phase 2, Ronald D. Moore's alternative Star Trek timeline leaves the question of what the 3rd show is that Danielle refers to in For All Mankind. Danielle refers to 3 shows in 2003, so it's unlikely that Star Trek, Deep Space Nine and Star Trek, Voyager exist in the For All Mankind timeline. Voyager premiered in 1995, the same year that humanity landed on Mars in For All Mankind, so it makes sense that audiences would be more interested in real-life space adventure than the fiction of Star Trek. That leaves Star Trek: The Next Generation as the most likely 3rd series for Danielle to show her granddaughter. It would likely be a different take on Star Trek: The Next Generation, responding to the different culture of For All Mankind's alternate history. It would also seemingly be a far less successful TNG, as it failed to generate the Star Trek spin-offs that our version did. In the real world, Star Trek, the original series, was cancelled before the moon landing. It would be a neat bit of symmetry, therefore, if in For All Mankind's alternate timeline, TNG came to an end just as NASA was setting its sights on landing a human on Mars by 1995.